Howdy, folks. I am Doctor McFarland. It's Tuesday, August 26th, about 4:03. Had to get a quick snack from the kitchen before I came over here. And I hear myself breathing into this mic, but when I listen back, at least when I have listened back, I don't notice it as much. So let me know if that's annoying to you, or if I need to move the position of the mic a little bit. I could maybe have the mic just slightly above my mouth. Pop, 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 pop. I don't know. Whatever it is. If I breathe out of my mouth, but it's not directly into the mic, then I guess it's good. If I breathe out of my nose and it goes into the mic, then that's weird. That's awkward. I'm back again with the Yamaha Revstar. I honestly love this thing. It's great. Okay. $849. Got a glossy body, satin neck, really comfortable neck, by the way. The frets are great. And the only thing that drew me, or the main thing that drew me to this guitar, was the stainless steel frets. Once I got my hand on a few Kiesels, and they all come with stainless steel frets, and I like the idea of not having to ever have a fret job, fret dress, crowning the fret, anything, any kind of fretwork. I don't want any of that ever again. I want to buy a guitar once and not have to keep investing money into it just to keep it working properly, which is great. So that's why I like the Revstar. I also like it because it has a cool body style. It has a very balanced neck to body ratio. Okay, it is slightly heavy. I found a scale in my kitchen. Let me turn down my my volume knob here. Let's see, where's my notes app? Okay, guitar weight. The Revstar I'm currently holding is 8 pounds, 14 ounces. That is 2 ounces away, 3 ounces away from being 9 pounds, right? Well, you got 14, you got 15, 16, and then you got the next ounce would make it another pound. So yeah, it's 2 ounces away from being 9 pounds. And to me, that's definitely within the Les Paul range of things. And some people just don't like heavier guitars, and that's perfectly fine. Zounds.com actually does not tell you what weight the guitar is when you purchase them. So if you want to purchase a guitar through Sweetwater.com, which I will have affiliate links down in the description, they actually give you the actual, they actually give you the actual picture of the guitar that you're purchasing, and they weigh it so you know exactly what weight it is. You can see how the wood grain looks if it has wood grain showing. You know, if you bought this guitar and you saw that there's like 3 of them in stock, but you liked one that had more of like a flamey back or something, that's the one that you would want to choose, because you just are naturally drawn to that one over something else, which is cool. But Zounds gives you just a stock photo. I'm pretty sure like Guitar Center gives you stock photos, American Music Supply. There may be a few others out there that gives you the actual photo of the item that you're purchasing. Unless it's like an audio interface, which you don't really need to see like individual pictures of those, because they're all boxed up and they're essentially all the same. But when you purchase a guitar, those are very stylistic and individualized instruments, and you're going to naturally be drawn to a certain look, a certain shape, a certain style, a certain color, whether the finish is glossy or matte or satin, all those kinds of things. So with all that said, I am currently playing my the rig the preset I built last week on the Toolmaster Pro, called the Best Effects. I basically had the question of, what's your favorite effects? And I just built a rig on the Toadmaster Pro with those effects. Then I added in 2 amps. I had the JC or the Roland JC 120. Also had the Freeman amp in there, which sounds like this. Okay, let me know if we or if our volumes are good on your end. I'll turn them up a little bit on my end here. So, okay, there's that. There's also things like a phase. Right, we have Electric Mistress. What am I doing? Da, da, da. Little Beatles action there. Here's some chorus. Right. Then we got some tremolo. Yeah, that's a good song for tremolo right there. And we got some other stuff in there, but that's fine. So what I want to hear from you guys today is, you see the title of this stream. It's all about making music. Okay, all the stuff, all the guitars, all the amps and pedals and whatever else. It's all about actually making music. And yeah, I mean, you could have a goal to just literally play the backing tracks for the rest of your life and not play to anybody, right? Or you might have a goal to actually be in a band. There I go again, saying the word actually a lot. Okay, I'm going to find a different word. You may desire to be in a band, and you want to make music within the group or the context of a group of other guys or gals or a combination of both. Whether there's drums, bass, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, keys. If you want to do the jazz band or the ska band route, you could have some horns in there. All kinds of situations. But ultimately, all these products provide a solution to the problem of, hey, I like playing acoustic guitar, but it's not loud enough. Okay, well, you might need an acoustic guitar with electronics in it, so you can actually plug it into either a PA system or plug it into an acoustic amplifier or a Boss Katana or, whatever else. So the problem of, hey, I can't be heard can be fixed or a solution can be provided by buying an amplifier or having a guitar that you can plug into a PA, stuff like that. For me, the reason why I've chosen to go the modular route, the full modular, I don't want to do this hybrid thing where I still have to have like separate power supplies and patch cables and all that stuff, is I got to a point to where I was just buying pedals. I would put them on a board. I would rearrange them on a board. I had to have the correct number of power supply leads going out to power all the pedals. And then you had to have certain lengths of cable to connect all the pedals together, whether they were on the back row and you want to connect it to like a Boss ES8 in the front of the switch of the board. And then the Boss ES8 or any other like gig rig or any other device out there that allows you to hit one button and then turn things on or off by that one hit of the button. that was the solution to the problem of I have all these pedals, but now I don't want to tap dance to go like turn these three off, turn these two on, then I get to the next section of the song or another sound in general, and now I got to turn those two off, but turn only one of them on over here, then one of them on all the way over here, and it's just like a lot of moving around, right? So once I saw the beauty of what maulers can do, i.e. the HX effects, i.e. the head rush, any Line 6 product, the Tonemaster Pro, the Kemper, the Fractal, just whatever, right? It was basically like saying, okay, you're telling me that I could pick my amp, pick my mic, my cab, wow, pick my cab, pick the microphone position, and sprinkle in whatever overdrive I want before, whatever modulation and wet effects after the amp. And you call that a preset. And then you're allowing me to store that as its setting. And within that preset or rig, depending on which device you're using and what they would like to call it, I can then go into that preset and create scenes or snapshots to give me the ability to actually change the parameters of the pedals and the amps to whatever I want per section of the song or per mood or vibe that I want to try to create on the board or on that digital device. And you're telling me I can do all that all within one unit and not have to have separate pedals, separate switcher, separate power supplies, separate patch cables that have to all be different lengths, and you have to cut them, you got to measure them, and you got to either do the solder type thing with the flat pancake heads, or you got to do the solderless thing, but then make sure you got to really check the connections so they're so they're all working correctly. And then you show up to the gig, which this happened to me multiple times. I used to have this huge pedal board. I would oftentimes show it to a gig, and like just something would not work, right? Like either a power supply cable came loose, or a patch cable went bad. And now I hit that one switch because I think I had a board with a Pro 14 from Gig Rig on it, and I would go to hit the switch and like I would have no sound, or I'd be at church. And the sound guy would talk into my my in-ear through the little MyMix system that we had and be like, "Hey man, I don't have any sound for you." And I'm like, okay, well, something on my board is not plugged in correctly or whatever. And it just ultimately always happened, right? So in order for me to make music, I had to get past the tap dancing, the cables, the power supplies, all the separate pedals, all the separate switching units that required me, that I needed to have in order to not do the tap dancing and not have the cables and the power supplies and individual pedals and all this stuff. So with that said, the reason why I personally enjoy a digital mauler on top of a real amp and real pedals is the convenience. It gives me literally everything I want in a guitar setup on hitting one switch, and then I can change my sound to be whatever that is, and then I can hit another switch, and now my sound can drastically change from going from this amp to a second amp or a third amp. I can turn these pedals on and these pedals off, and I can go from this to that, and it's just glorious. So it really is all about convenience. And it's the same reason why I no longer buy guitars that don't have stainless steel frets. Okay? This Revstar for $849 has stainless steel frets. That means I don't have to stop playing or worry about the fret, wear on the second and third frets when I'm playing that D chord for 8 hours a day, just strumming over and over and over, right? Because eventually I do have some guitars, some Reverend guitars back there that aren't stainless steel frets, that have some wear on that second and third fret area. And now I can keep playing it and it would be fine. But I know eventually I'm gonna have to fork over $100 to maybe $300 to either totally to replace the frets that are on it, or just get a basic fret dress, which means the frets are now lower in height, which means the action has to change, the string height has to change, or I have to spend, $300 to $400 and take the frets totally out. I have to put new frets in, and if I went with nickel frets, then I'd have to play for another however long it took for those frets to wear out, and then replace them again. So you just keep putting money into the same guitar over and over, versus just either finding a guitar that you like and adding stainless steel frets onto them, so therefore you don't have to do any fret work later in life, or you just go ahead and find a guitar, i.e. like a Revstar, or there's actually a lot of Amazon guitars right now you can find that has stainless steel frets on them for $300, $400, which is insane. It's totally crazy with all the specs that you can get on guitar now for very little money. So with all that said, let me check the comments here. I hope that all that makes sense. So I've chosen my path. I even have a Yamaha TF5 digital mixer right here in front of me. Now I'll show you. Let me show you here. Okay, so I got this because I was tired of using a rack-mounted or a desktop audio interface and always have to reach for the mouse to adjust something on the screen, level-wise, especially for live streams, which now I can just grab the faders, I can move them up, I can move them down, I can solo things, unsolo things, which on this board, right now these channels are muted. Let me see here. Well, you can't really see. There we go. Right now these channels are muted, but if I hit the on button, that means it's on, right? If I turn this one off, I just muted my mic, right? So in previous years of live streaming, I would always have to use my mouse, go find the window to open it up, adjust the fader on the screen, either mute it or adjust something else. And now it's just as easy as just grabbing the mic and the fader and bringing it up and down, right? Like that. I know it's annoying. I'm not going to do that anymore. Yeah, just grab the faders, adjust them real fast. It's as simple as reaching out and just grabbing the fader, okay? So I know Joe Gilder of Home Studio Corner, if you're a follower of him, if you're like a recording guy at all, he uses a digital mixer in his studio for the exact same reason, okay? It's all about the speed of working and being able to do that efficiently in a recording session, and all this stuff. So with all that said, we got David Woods in the house. Hello, David. Yamaha does mix all this stuff. I've been playing one of their budget models from the mid 80s for about 15 years now. It's bulletproof and it still sounds and plays a bomb. It's about 9 pounds. Yeah, 9 pounds is on the upper echelon of weight that most people can stand. Most guitars are in like the 7 to 8 pound range, somewhere in there, give or take a few ounces, up or down. Just for example, some of these other guitars on my list, like my White Zeus, which was a headless guitar, was 6 pounds 11 ounces. My Pink Osiris, which is also headless, is 6 pounds 11 ounces. The DC 600 that I have from Kiesel, that's 8 pounds 12 ounces. My Crescent is 8 pounds 3 ounces. I think that one is actually chambered, so it has less weight on it. My Honeyburst CT6 from Kiesel is 7 pounds 14 ounces, so it's right on the cusp of the 8 pound range. The Blue Delos from Kiesel that I have, which I'm also selling, by the way, it's 7 pounds 4 ounces. So 4 pounds or 4 ounces away from being in the 6 pound range. So that's pretty light for a Strat style guitar. The Headless Delos is 6 pounds 10 ounces. like my Reverend HPP guitar is 8 pounds 3 ounces. The Reverend Gil Paris is 7 pounds 5 ounces. So that's pretty light for a Strat style guitar. The Reverend Sensei is 7 pounds 3 ounces. So that's relatively light. The Reverend Black, the whatever that black one is over there, is 7 pounds 11 ounces. Then my new Kiesel semi-hollow guitar, 7 pounds 2 ounces. So that's pretty light for guitars, I would say. Andrew, what's up, man? I'm thinking about going to buy an FM9 instead of the new Helix Stadium, but I'm going to keep my Helix floor. I'll save about $1,000. I totally agree. So I have I probably shouldn't have done this, but I did go buy another Fractal FM9. Let me show you here. Let me show you. Okay. I don't have a scale, but this thing is pretty heavy. So this actually came with the Gear by Seba protectors here. If you can see that, they just pop right off. And they just kind of help, keep everything nice and injury free, if you will. Like that. But honestly, I mean, I got this thing for $1,700. Probably, if I waited around, I probably could have found something for a little bit less. But I think what you get for this is amazing. Okay. You got gapless switching between literally everything, presets, scenes, and the channels. Because on Fractal, you actually have 4 channels per block, okay? And that can mean you could have, on your overdrive, you could have 4 different overdrive sounds called up on A, B, C, or D. And then within your scenes, you can just change which channel that you want that scene to call up on that block. And it's all gapless switching, and it's literally just glorious. It's amazing, the sound of it. Now, a few weeks ago, I did some playthrough on this, and my Kemper player, actually, a lot of the guys were like, "Hey, your Kemper actually sounds a little bit better than the Fractal does," which I would have to agree. I mean, that Kemper player, or just the Kemper line in general, sounds good. It feels good under your fingers to play those profiles. Because it does give me the sense and that realization of like, hey, I feel like I'm playing through a real amp right now, right? Let's see here. I could potentially plug this in. Let me try and plug this in. Now the only thing I don't prefer on the Fractal is the just the user interface. I personally don't have a problem getting around on it because I've learned how to use it. But is it the most pleasing experience? Not really. I'd much rather have a touchscreen of some sort, which the Helix will have. The new Helix will have, right? Let me plug that in. Let me find the power cable. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Also, a great thing for the digital mixer over here is it has 32 inputs. And I can literally keep my drums plugged in at all times. I can keep all my mauling, or at least up to 2 different mauling units plugged in at once. What am I doing here? Let's see. Aha. There we go. Plugging this in. Oh yeah. See if I can get some camera action on this thing. If we can't keep it unplugged. Alright, you're not going to be able to see the screens all that well, maybe. But this would be pretty good. Let me go down to, let's see what this does. Nope, that's not what I want. I'm looking for the scene that I have made. There's an M50. Oh, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. I don't have. Yeah, here's the other end of the cable. Here, let me plug in this cable real fast. See, now you got me talking about. That's actually not the right. It's not the right cable. I'll look for it. Okay, regardless. Maybe I won't have a camera overhead. Maybe not. I will plug this in. I see a lot of guys on tour. A lot of guys use Fractal. A lot of people. It's just a lot of people here. So let's call that one up. All right, let me grab a cable. But yeah, that's a good point, Andrew. What money are you really, what are you really spending here when you buy there we go. Let me actually grab another guitar as well. I'm going to grab a different one. I'm back and better than ever. Or something like that. All right, this is my Kiesel CT6. And I'm not going to have a overhead picture for you. So I'm just going to go back here. But you can kind of see the fractal over here. So, yeah, my Kiesel CT6 is basically my PRS killer. I had another version or another CT6 in the studio, but I sold that on Reverb, thankfully, and I really didn't need it. And I have other things I need to pay off and free up cash for, so. Okay. I totally agree with the tap dancing. The goal is to play music. That is so true. And I just don't care about like all the videos out there of like, hey, this is my new pedal board. This is how like all the cables I used and all the power supplies I use. And like, I just don't care about that. Another reason to have a mixer right in front of you, so when you burp, you can actually like mute yourself real fast. It's pretty great. So. I'm going to tune this thing. Let's tune it. Yep. Another plus for maulers is the consistency of sound every single night. If you always have to worry about your tubes like getting cold, getting hot, getting worn out, which in then turn changes the sound. If you always have to worry about your knobs on your pedals being exactly in the right place. You know, maybe you hit maybe you turn on some pedals and like, oh man, my tone was turned way down. I sounded darker on that solo. Like you're never gonna have that issue on a mauler at all. Okay. Because you just plug it in to the PA and you have this literally the same sound every night. Okay. So when you get to that special solo in the 9th song of the set, after you've been playing for an hour and a half and you have to have that sound, then there it is. Like you have it all ready to go, right? So right, now this comment here, this is always a good thing to think about as well. So the simpler the better for me. For the time being, I'm happy with the little MX5. That's perfectly fine. I can do that too. Headrush products seem to me to be the quickest to learn and easiest to use. And they're relatively cheaper as well. You can buy a, let me go to Zounds.com real fast. I'm pretty sure the the Headrush Prime is, I think, $9.99 at Zounds and also Sweetwater and wherever else. So, Headrush Prime. Yeah, $999. Amazing. Amazing deal. Where's my my thing here? There we are. Okay, $999. Yes, it's a little bit bigger. Okay, you got touchscreen though. You do have a web-based or browser-based editor. There's currently an open box for $849. That's really good. And you got no credit checks and 12-month no interest payments. So you could be getting this thing and pay like, I don't know, 70. Let's just say you paid $75 a month till it was paid off. You could totally do that, and it'd be a good option. So, but yeah, Headrush prices are a little bit lower. They don't do everything the Fractal does. They don't do everything even the Tollmaster Pro does. But they're sitting within a good price point to where if you want to keep it simple, then you can, and you don't have to do all the crazy stuff. And if you want to go wild and make 500 rigs with different amps and pedals and whatever else, you can spend your time and you can do that. You know, that's a totally viable option. Richard Kaplan, how's it going, man? I'm glad you're here. The FM9 tones are killer. All right, let's just real fast. Let's make a new rig. My throat's a little dry. So I'm going to go down. I know you can't see any of this. I need to I need to plug this in to, it's not long enough though. It's not long enough. Put my camera down here. I need to put my camera back on its stand. I had an issue to where it wasn't turning on. And this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good. Let's see where my plug is. It's all the way over there. Yeah, it's not going to work. The only thing with the Fractal stuff is it doesn't have Wi-Fi. So you literally have to plug everything in via USB to a computer in order to use the editor, which is a little bit better for live streaming, so you don't have to use the overhead camera and all that stuff. I feel like I unplugged. I think that's what I did. I unplugged the cable that I was using here for like something else. I just never plugged it back in, which is my bad. I'm sorry. But yeah, you have to plug it in with a USB cable, and I don't have one long enough right now, right this second that I'm seeing, so you can actually see my screen. But it doesn't matter. We're just going to do this. So we're going to hold enter until it goes all the way to the end. Okay, I'm actually going to do that. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to scroll over to the middle. I'm going to use my big wheel here, and I'm going to go to amp and then press enter. Okay. And then on the, and then on the next one, I'm going to go till I see the cab and press enter. I'm going to go back to the very beginning, press enter. Actually, sorry, turn my wheel till it says input 1, press enter. go all the way to the end, turn my wheel till it says output 1 and press enter. And then magically I have a sound. Okay, pretty cool, right? Now, which amp is that? We have, actually, which cab is this? Let's go to, you don't want to press enter again because then you're gonna, it's gonna think you want to like change something about the block. You have to press edit, and then we're gonna go to, let's go to a legacy cab. Press enter. Actually, no, press page over. We're gonna scroll down, and we're gonna change. Let's change to like a 1x12 deluxe reverb with a 57 on it. How about that? Okay. And actually, if you press enter, you can see the full list there into the cab picker. I'm not going to do that right this second. Okay, so now I've changed the sound by changing the cab. Okay, I have my output level here. I'm going to use this middle knob to bring my block output up. Okay, now let's see what amp I've chosen, which is the FAS Buttery amp, which is cool. There's literally like, how many amps are in here? Too many, actually. 328 amps. Now, a lot of those are actually 1 amp and all the different channel variations. So, for example, we have like the Wrecker Express, the Wrecker Express Bright, the Wrecker Liverpool, the Wrecker Liverpool Bright, the Wrecker Rocket, you know, stuff like that. So, I could go up to like the Liverpool. Okay, let's go into the amp now and go page over. I can turn the gain down, right? I can adjust my bass and my treble and my mids, and I can go page over again, and I can change the input EQ. I can change the output EQ to be whatever. I can go to my preamp section and actually tell it to turn on a boost, right? Which is awesome. You know, we can do stuff like this. Okay, I'm actually turning the boost on and off. And you can assign that to a switch. So if if you're doing whatever, you got the input boost, you have a fat on and off, you have a cut on and off, which I can turn the cut on. Right, you can hear the sound change. You can even change the tube type of the input tube. You can actually hear it popping, right? Now, that's not going to be like a drastic change by any means. But it's kind of cool that you hear a popping sound, I guess. It's kind of interesting. Let's do the JJ tube. I used to go to eurotubes.com and buy tubes from them. Okay, so let's say we like that one. Let's go to the end and let's go to reverb. Okay, reverb 1. Okay, let's hit edit. That's currently on large hall. Let's make it be echo room. Okay, so actually add in an echo there. Here's Fields of Pride. I just sneezed, and the mute button saved me once again. Let's go to London Plate. Or actually, let's go to Lush Spring. It's kind of cool. Marble Hall. Just literally too many reverbs. There's 78 reverbs, right? Here's like a cathedral. Now, you could be saying, all right, Nathan, this is all great, but look at how much time you're wasting by having to dial in all these presets yourself, right? Like, I actually have a tube amp and a pedal board that I never change. I just have to go and turn it on and turn the pedals on, and there's all my sounds, right? Then when I want to go change the sound, I just literally bend over, like turn the knob and all your stuff. Well, that's a thing that, guitar players have been doing for centuries. Not centuries, for decades. And, that is a very valid thing. If you just want a simple tube amp and a few pedals on a board, and that's all the sounds that you need, then if you don't mind a little tap dancing every once in a while, more power to you, right? But if you want to take the time, just a little bit, it's kind of like passive income. It's really not passive because you have to do some work up front to make it happen, right? I have to do the work now, whether it's a real estate deal, whether I have to create a course on a website. Hint, hint, I have courses on my website. All the stuff, you have to put in the time first, and then later on, the income just keeps coming in month after month because... or the dividends, right? So think of like the mauler as your dividend, right? You put in the time up front, and then you are rewarded gig after gig, year after year, with the one preset that you made that never changes unless you just want to go in and change it again. Or you can keep doing a save as to like different preset slots. You can keep having different iterations of the same preset, which is a way of doing things as well. That's the thing, right? You got to put in the time first to learn, where to push, what to turn, all the things. And like David had said, David Woods, he's like, I use the MX5 because it's simple to use. It has a touch screen. It has all the sounds I need. And that's it, So the time that was put in to learn about the head rush and to dial it in was well worth it because now he has the sounds right at his feet and he can go make new sounds if he wanted to, right? But it's just the fact that the Mauler gives you everything you need in any recording or live situation ability, and you can just do whatever. So, pretty cool stuff. Now, I'm going to go edit that reverb to be a little less mix, a little less time. I'm going to have it be like 2 seconds instead of 5 seconds. Okay. I'm liking the amp, but it's a little too crunchy for me right now. Let's just go in and let's turn the gain down. How about that? Nice and low. Let's then go to the block output and turn it up. I can also go to my middle position, make it cleaner. All right, that's probably how I would typically dial it in. Let's go and make a overdrive sound. So we'll do drive 1, press enter, and then press edit. And there are 69 drive options, okay? But we have like the Timmy, down, mid, up. So it's technically one pedal, but like 3 different variations. We have the Tone of Kings, we have a treble boost, we have the tube drive, and also the 3 and 4 knob versions. That's kind of like the BK Butler overdrive type stuff. On the front end, we have the BB preamp. We have the Blues overdrive. Let's just try that one. That one's kind of cool. Blues overdrive. We'll turn the gain down a bit. Tone, volume. Alright, something like that. Let's go bypass that. Maybe it's not enough gain. There we go. Store that. Okay. Yes. Okay. So now, basically, at this preset, I have a drive pedal, I have an amp, and I have a cab, I have a reverb, and that's it. I have literally an amp, cab, and 2 pedals. So I'm recreating what a tube amp and a real pedal board might have, even if you just have 2 pedals on it, right? But now you have the option to go fill up the other slots with anything else that you'd want. Or I can go into my drive block and have, that was on channel A, I can fill up B, C, or D channels. And now within my scenes, I can go change the drive block type to go from like a BB preamp to a King of Tone to a Tube Screamer and then to a Zen Drive or something, you know, just whatever craziness you want to think of, which is all kind of cool. Now my nose is running. I was outside a few days ago, and it's torn me up. My nose has not worked correctly ever since then. So once you have the tones you like, you can have 3 presets and do any gig. Yeah, it's totally true. Any gig you want. I think I've decided that my like for example, my Headrush live streams, I do once a month, and whatever rig I make for that month, I just load it up to my website, and you pay a one-time fee, and you go access all the rigs, right? I think for the tonal analysis course is essentially, because I think doing a forever, like, I have to go live every single week or month for the rest of eternity to keep doing these things. I think what I'm going to do for now is just pick a band, then maybe pick like 3 to 5 with like their top hits, and show how to recreate those sounds on a Mahler, like a Headrush or a Fractal. Maybe I can change it up. Maybe I could pick 3 songs or 4 songs or 5 songs, and like song 1 can be made on the Headrush. Song 2 can be made on the Fractal. Song 3 can be made on the Toolmaster Pro. So that way you're getting kind of the same sound of the band, but I'm showing you how to recreate those sounds on multiple different devices and platforms. So you're not forced to only think about, oh, well, this is how the Headrush does it, but I wonder how the Fractal would do it, or how this, because essentially, once you understand that all guitar tone is just concepts being applied to the device, dialing in a sound for any song is relatively easy. It's really not that hard. I mean, you either got a clean tone, a crunch tone, or a lead tone, right? And typically with those lead tones, do you have some delay turned on? Do you have a phaser flange? Or with a clean tone, do you have a chorus or a tremolo? With a crunch tone, do you have like a Tube Screamer boosting the front end of the amp? I mean, just basic stuff that I've learned over the years, and I'm going to hopefully teach that to whoever wants to watch those videos after you're purchasing the product on my website, hint, hint. But that way I can complete a product, and then you just go buy it for what it is. You're not expecting it to be updated every single month, week, year, whatever. And then the next product can be like the best, the top 5 songs and how to dial them in for U2 or AC/DC or Jimi Hendrix or John Mayer, or, literally you pick the artist, and I can do a product based on that, right? And I do it privately, not because I hate you, or not because I don't want you to see it for free or something. But like when you play music on YouTube, there's always like copyright strikes, and you can get your video taken down. You can get your whole channel taken down if you're just blatantly playing the person's music over and over and over on your channel. And I don't want that. So I'm doing it privately within a video course on my website called the Tonal Analysis. And it's going to have, volume 1 could be AC/DC, volume 2 could be Rush, volume 3 could be Prince, like do some funk stuff, right? So you let me know whether on the comment of this video or send me a private message on my website, what bands and or songs would you like me to represent in a product like that. And then I'll keep the prices relatively inexpensive. They're not going to be outrageous. But my time is valuable, and I have a family to hang out with and help raise. But I have a studio, and I like to teach. So, teaching, I will give you my time if you give me back some money in exchange for that time. And that will be represented in a tonal analysis course that has been coming for a while, at least in my mind. I've just been waiting to get the right scenario figured out, and then having some time to actually get in front of a camera, film everything, edit everything, making sure it's packaged all nice and neat, and then presenting that on my website in a form that you can then go purchase. Okay. So sorry about that rant, but what that comes down to is every guitar tone has a clean, a crunch, or a lead. Okay, so that's how I'm going to deal with it. So this right now is, if I bypass this drive pedal, right, that's a clean tone, okay? Now on the bridge pickup, you're going to have a little bit more output from the bridge, which will drive the amp more, which will give it a little bit more volume and maybe a little bit more grit. If you're on the middle position on a Les Paul or 2 humbucker guitar, or if you're on a Strat style guitar or a Tele style guitar that you have single coils on, the same sound and the same amp settings could give you a drastically different sound because you go to a different pickup. So now, okay, I'm on the middle position and I have a slightly different clean tone that I had before on the bridge. All right, that's a brighter sound, and now I have a more mellow sound. If I go to the neck position, okay, it's a little woollier, a little darker sounding because the neck pickup is farther away from the bridge, so it's not going to be as bright. And then if I pull up on my tone knob right here, I've now split my coils, which gives me more of a single coil type sound, which is now going to not drastically, but it'll alter the sound of the original tone I had with that amp and those pedals and the current settings that they're on. Because I haven't touched anything on the amp yet, right? So I'm doing it all from the pickup position and selection. Okay, here's the middle position. Now that gives you 2 single coils, with them both on. That kind of gives you that sweet home, Leonard Skinner, Stratty type sound. Now it's not exactly like a Strat, but it's pretty close, right? You can do a convincing Strat sound with that. So then you got the single coil or the split coil on the bridge, or you make it back humbucker. Okay, so as you're dialing in these sounds, as you're listening to songs to possibly recreate on a digital mauler, I don't think it's as important to get the amp exactly right. As long as you're within those categories of, is it clean, is it crunchy, is it lead, I think anything within there's multiple different options within those three categories right there. I could have a Fender clean. I can have a Vox clean. I can have a matchless. I could have a Blues Junior. I could have a Mesa Boogie Channel 1, clean sound. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to get a clean sound, right? There's all kinds of ways of having a crunch sound. There's all kinds of ways of having a lead sound, a higher gain type sound, right? And then once you get into the higher gain stuff, is it mid-range heavy? Is it scooped sounding? Which just means you either turn the mids up, you turn the mids down. Does it have some good low end, some low mids, like chunkiness to it? So when you do palm muting, it kind of has that boom, 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 right? Stuff like that. So all kinds of different things. Let's go back to my amp model here. And I'm kind of just teaching as I go, but this is my teaching moment. But for example, let's go over and let's hit the USA Mark. Let's do a Mark 5 red channel to 2C plus, okay? Okay, now you might think, okay, that has a sound to it. Either you love it or you hate it, right? Let's go see what happens if I change the cab type. Okay, check this out. Here's a 1x12 divided by 13 cab with a 121 on it. Okay, same cab, but now with the 57. Okay, same cab, but now with the 421. Okay, same cab. Let's see. Let's do this one. Okay, so with that example, you can now hear that regardless of what kind of pickups you have, what kind of amp you've chosen, the cab type can drastically change the sound of your amp setup. Okay, whether you've chosen a greenback or a vintage 30, whether you have a 57 SM57 microphone on the cap edge, or you have a Royer 121 on the cap edge, or it could be on the cone edge, which is farther away from the center of that cap, right? So I've also I have some Toastmaster Pro videos showing the visual of like placing the microphone at different spots, closer or farther away from the speaker, and also the different positions, either whether it's on the cap edge, cone edge, right? There's like typically 4 different areas there. And then is the mic straight on, or is it off axis? Okay, on axis, off axis. I don't have a, where's my microphone around here? I don't have a mic on. I don't have a mic over here. It's fine. You get the point, right? So all these things go into what is a final guitar sound like, okay? So it can't just be, well, it has to be a Fender, and it has to be a this, and it has to be a that. There's some nuance and there's some variation within those 3 categories of clean, crunch, and lead, but depending on how you've fit those things together will determine your final sound, okay? So I just want you to understand that it's not as simple as, well, as long as you got a Les Paul and a Marshall, then that's all I need. Well, okay, well, that's cool. And you could probably play multiple different songs and genres with that setup. But when you're trying to recreate the sound of a guitar part on a record, is not even counting on a live recording, right? Which I know a lot of these, you can listen to Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, right? There's a studio version, which sounds a certain way, but then there's a live version, which I think the guitar on the live version sounds completely different than the studio version, right? He could have been using the same amp, same guitar, But now you're in this live environment with all these people, like thousands of people around you, and the air and whether you're outside or in some kind of stadium or like you're in an indoor stadium, the air changes the sound around you, right? How you perceive the sound. So, now listen to that. This says 121 in the rear. So this is the microphone on the back of the cab. That's just a weird sound, right? But then we got the 160. We have the B position. And then we have the rear again. So if you pick that cab and you start playing, you'll be like, wow, this modeler sounds horrible. when in actuality, you just didn't pick the right cab. You didn't pick the right sound for what you thought you wanted to hear, right? Just all those things. So don't be, I can make a great sound on any modeler. I don't care what you give me. It can be the cheapest piece of crap you've ever seen. But because I know how to dial in the amp, the cab, the microphone, the pedals, whatever else, I can make it sound pretty good, okay? It may not be the most amazing sound ever to your personal preference, but it is it's definitely an option. So with all that said, just take all this with a grain of salt. I'm not a Grammy-winning engineer by any means, but I've had 30 some odd amps. I've had so many, tons and tons of pedals over the years. I've put pedal boards together, and for me and my taste, the digital modeler is definitely the way to go because it gives me total control over the sound. Okay, so 3.6 unit. That's true. All right, so I tend to get option fatigue easily. Even with the MX-5, I totally get it. I found myself building tons of rigs I probably never use, but it was fun to do. It's loads of fun, but I found my playing was suffering because of it. Well, that is a drawback to the digital world, is you literally have all the options available, and now you're like, man, what would this rig sound like instead of using a Fender? Maybe I used a Vox, or maybe I used a Matchless, or maybe I used something else, right? Anything. All right, Prince tunes. If you can, Andrew, send me, go to drmcfarlandstudios.com. I'm going to go there right now, actually. And there is a little place. See here on the bottom. Okay, let me show my browser here. There's a little place on the bottom of my website right here. If you click on that, you can send me a message saying, hey, Nate, I like your guitar tones. Okay. Then I'll get you put in your email, right? And I'll get a response in my email that I can reply back that way. But if you're watching and you want to do this, send me a list. Like, give me a band and then send me a list of like your top 5 songs for that band, and I'll just keep a running tally of like what you guys want to see, and then hopefully in the month of September I will come out with a video series on those songs, showing how to recreate them on all these different modelers. I think it is a good idea to do it across multiple different modelers, so that way I'm not being pigeonholed in like one certain thing, and I'm showing how to do it across every all the modelers I have available. So, and also let me know what kind of price you would want to pay for that. Because doing 5 songs, even at 15 to 20 minutes each, maybe even just 30 minutes each, that's like hours of time trying to put all that stuff together. So, I want to be mindful of what you're willing to pay, but also mindful of my time as well. So, and I also think of it like, you're taking private lessons from me at that point, just in video form, kind of thing. So anyway, those are good. Those are all good things to consider. This is my website, by the way, drmcfarlandstudios.com. I have, here's all my preset packs for Kemper, Boss, Amplitude, because I made some on the Amplitude plugin, if you have that. Here's my Fractal presets that you can go check out. ToneMaster Pro, Headrush, Tone Sculpting. That's where I do the monthly live stream. I have Helix Studio presets, which are good. I do have some products on how to edit audio in Reaper. And then also have Getting Started in Reaper and Anatomy of Music. So scales, chords, arpeggios, and notation. I teach you basically everything I teach in private lessons is all within that one course. And it shows you how to play chords and scales and all this stuff. Then we have backing tracks. We have 52 backing tracks that I made back in 2023, so a few years ago. And they're just different keys, different vibes, different grooves that you can then basically this backing tracks is meant to be put together with the Anatomy of Music course. So as you learn the chords, as you learn the scales, the backing tracks give you something to play along with. Okay, and you see the natural number system on the screen as well. So if you're going from like let's see, if you're going from, let me get to a clean tone real fast. Get to a clean tone. Let's do a vibrato verb type thing here. Turn down that gain. So, all right, that's pretty good. So if I'm going like a F sharp minor, D, A, E, you just repeat that over and over for like 10 minutes. So maybe if you're a complete beginner on guitar, you might just want to play along with the backing tracks, like literally try to play the chord progression that I'm playing that you see on the screen. And then as you get a little bit better, as you learn more about scales and arpeggios, then you can be like, okay, F sharp minor. Yeah, whatever it is, right? So you just try to play over the chord progression the best you can, and by using the scales and arpeggios that I teach in my Anatomy of Music course. Now that course is a little bit older. I made that probably back in like 2017, 2018 during that time. So my video work was not the greatest. I probably could have. I could probably go back and just redo the whole thing, but the information in there is really good, and I appreciate it if you want to go check that out. So that's the way it is. That's the way it is. All right, guys, I'm going to go watch some basketball. We got the Indiana Fever playing tonight against the Seattle Storm, and I'm going to go make some dinner with the family and hang out. And later tonight and this week, I have some client work I have to do, mixing some songs here in the studio. So they've provided me with their tracks. Now it's time for me to do my doctor work on the audio and get them all cleaned up, and that's essentially what the Reaper editing audio course is doing. It shows my method of like editing audio, and then eventually I'll do like a mixing course and a mastering course and whatever else. But for now, I just have editing audio and getting started with Reaper. But the same concepts apply whether you're using Pro Tools or a Mixbus or Studio One, Cubase, anything like that. It's just, so a lot of what I teach is concept-based teaching that you can then go apply. Like if I teach you something on guitar, you can now take that knowledge and directly apply it to bass guitar or a mandolin or a ukulele or any other instrument, because music is a language. and we need to learn how to read it, write it, and speak it. Okay? So that's what I do here at Dr. McFarland Studios. Is I teach music, I play music, I show how to make music using different gear and all the things. And I appreciate everyone watching and tuning in every week and providing your comments, providing your feedback, and we're all just having fun here. Okay, so say goodbye to the Kiesel CT6. This is the Fractal FM9. And I have a bunch of other gear around here. Probably too much, but it's all fun. So we'll see you in the next live stream or the next pre-made video, and keep rocking.